Hello everybody and welcome back to the Storm Poker Challenge at mybet.com. My name's Dylan, and in this third video, as promised, we'll be playing two simultaneous Storm cash game tables and putting into practice basically all the theory that we covered in the first two videos. We flop overs as you will, guys, 2 times in 3 flops. Basically 66% of the time with ace king you're gonna absolutely whiff, as we have, and we make a bet in position, get 2 cards for the price of 1, right? Check behind, pick up a king, beauty. 54, 67, everything has missed unless he's on a set, so we want to make a value bet here of just over half pot. And he lets it go. It's a little bit dangerous, you know, because if he did flop the 4s or 5s, set of 4s or 5s, or set of 10s, you know, we're really toast. Or if he had 2 paired there somehow, yeah, it's a bit of a risky bet on the end, but that's the idea of a value bet. You know, you got a winnable hand, you got a hand where you think you're good. Wow, another 2 pair, crazy. But yeah, you make that bet to increase your total bottom line. Beatable hand, but playable hand here. The king blocks somebody's potential flush draw here, making it less likely. There we go. Alright guys, so approaching basically 2 stacks over here in the plus, and stacking change on the left table. And again, my apologies for the areas which were a bit less exciting. You know, we're only playing the 2 tables here, but I think it's good, you know, that you guys can kind of slowly build up. First we play the 1 table, now 2. You guys get an idea of what's going on. We're kind of talking you through it, giving you different ideas, showing you different plays you can make, both online and live. And hopefully all this is really going to be useful for your game in general. And then starting here in our next video, we're just going to be going for broke on 4+ tables simultaneously. This guy 3-bets us as a re-steal from the big, and we fold our baby ace. So this guy's doubled up at least 2.5 times. Or picked up 4 guy stacks. That's impressive here at this level. Wow, flop a set, but it is a dangerous board, right? 2 suited, highly connected. Don't want to be fooling around with bottom set here. Gonna bet into it, hope for a check call, and then maybe another 7 or 8. Alright, let's flat here. Alright, so let's see here. And the 56 is made, of course. 10 jack is made. We got to take another shot here, and it's got to be a bit heftier because we don't want to see that spade coming. We flop mid pair on the left table. He flats again. Would have missed his flush draw if he's on one. And again, yeah, I could value this. If he's flopped the set or the straight, it's 75 to 1 against. And I thought he might have paid us with a 9 king or something like that. 9 ace, 9 10, stuff like that. Another ace king. Old Big Slick was knocking on our door multiple times this session. 10-8. Again, we can squeeze this here, but we're not going to. Imagine that, we whiff with a king ace. Huh, how often is that going to happen, guys? 66% of the time. Get used to it. We make a c-bet and take it down uncontested. But yeah, you're only going to connect. Oh shit, there is another player in there. Alrighty, so that is telling me that my concentration has dropped. I'm going to save that. And okay, that was the second hit, guys. And again, you know, we had a good session. You know, I missed yet again the 3rd player just out of the corner of my eye. And yeah, it's just little signs, just being honest with myself. I'm not, you know, I missed that. I kind of overlooked it. Took a bad beat and another hit here. And so I'm ready to close this up, pretty much. And let's go ahead and look for one more hand and check out. Right, inside straight draw. You got a good song to end the session on too. Alright, so he bets it into us, and he is deep stack, so rainbow board, if the jack comes, we're off to the races. Damn. Now we can do our out of position float bluff move, right? Represent the queen versus a fellow big stack player, or we can just check it and hope that he checks behind and gives us 2 cards for the price of 1. He does, and we flop, or we river the miracle. And we bet into it and hope that he re-raises with maybe like a set of 5s or 9s or something. No play. So he didn't bite. But again, guys, those inside straight draws on those rainbow boards versus fellow deep stack players, you don't need the direct odds a lot. If you think you'll be able to stack him off when you actually do hit your 11-1 inside straight. What? This guy was playing the jack too? Get out of here. Oh, so, okay, that jack actually gave him 2 pair there on the end, which was really good for us. I'm surprised he didn't raise that up. But, yeah, that was really weak. Fidrus or whatever that is. He was playing in position, and probably should have bet that turn after our check. Actually, definitely should have bet that turn as a float. Yeah. Alrighty, guys. Ace-10. What I'm going to do now is wait until I'm out of the blinds, either 1 or 2 hands here at the storm tables, so that I get a couple of hands for free that I paid for with my blinds. Here I'm not going to squeeze the under the gun razor with my ace-10 suited. I'm just going to flat and hold my breath for a decent flop. No dice. It's going to be a check fold here versus the 2 mid stackies. And he checks. Wow. Both check. You know I want to bet this. You know I want to bet this, right? But I got no stats on the guys, and all of my bluffs have been going south. Not all, but quite a few. And so maybe they're trying to suck us in. If they check again, and there's another rag card here, blank, then I'll be betting the river for sure. Wow. Okay. Why not? Half pot bet. How often do they have to fold? 1 time and 3 for us to break even, right? Right. Let me take it down. Alright, so there's the first hand out of the blinds. In the blind again. Let's see what we can do. Okay, hand out of the blind. Hand in the blind. Alright, there's 1. And there's 2. Let's see if we can get 3 hands out of the blinds. That'd be something else. Nope. Alright, so that was just a kind of a test to see how often we're actually posting here. Looks like almost every other hand. Alrighty. Alright, for the miracle versus guy here that we got a little history with, they won't see these kind of flops coming. We flop top pair. We flop a weak flush over here. It's again 118-1 against that flop, guys. And here I'm going to donk it out with top pair and just hope that they just let that go. Probably not against this guy, but we'll see. It worked. Alright, so we're worried about a better club out there. So we're going to overbet this pot a little bit and hope to take it down right now. And if he shoves, of course, we call. So he got another check here, and I don't want to give him another free card here in case he is on the diamond draw. So I just double up there on the turn after he checks again. Gangsta Lang folds a turn, we take it down. Alright, there's cards out of the blinds. Out of the blinds for the second hand. Let's see. Shit. Looks like we can only get alright, just for shits and giggles here, we'll limp one. Weak Broadway. Out the door. Alright, that was 1 hand out of the blinds. 2 hands out of the blinds. Wow, 3 hands out of the blinds. Okay, cool. So we got our 3 hands outside the blinds, and this will be our last hand here. Let's go ahead and isolate here. 4 times the big blind plus 1 per limper, and I just threw on a little change. Trey's no good. Alright. Bet in position versus the check. We get check raised. And this chewy nonsense. I've also yellow tagged him. He's one of the better players. at least the ones that I've seen. So we're checked out here with not total profit, but at this point, yeah, 56 bucks. So basically, almost 2 stacks up. And the 33, bummer, would be nice to end on a set and catch another stack. Alright, hand 2 outside the blinds, hand 3, and that's it. We're done here at 43.35, again, just over a stack. Alrighty guys, so this is how it went down. Yeah, this is again in big blinds. We end the session over here, which is, yeah, decent return here in the cash game tables at this level. It's effectively, yeah, 2 stacks up. Alright, that's a graph here in big blinds, and I'll show you guys here showdown winnings versus blue line versus non-showdown winnings. And here, yeah, non-showdown we actually had a loss. And yeah, that's again limping, folding, betting a bit wider than folding versus 3 bets. Stuff like that that we can definitely tighten up on in the future. That's the big blind return, and then the actual winnings here in cash was just at 40 bones. And this is the graph, right? This is the graph form of that. You can, of course, come in here and then go to all graphed hands, run your expected value differential, all hands here, no filter. And I always like to kind of look at the areas where I lost, where I was a market favorite, or at least a favorite to win when we pushed pre-flop. So you select your hands here, go to replay selected. Right, we get it in again here, aces versus 10. So again, it's almost always an 80-20 split. Action, raise, 3-bet, we 2-bet, 3-bet, we 4-bet, guys. We don't flat this, right? We don't flat that with aces. We raise it. Okay? Again, the reason is the reverse implied odds. When we just flat here, this guy can then flat, maybe this guy then overflats. All of a sudden we're in a 4-way pot with 3 guys potentially on pairs who are set mining. Difficult spot, right? So we go ahead and we don't fool around with those aces, right? We're happy to take down a bigger pot with our aces in position. And, you know, this basically is 2-bet, 3-bet. This 4-bet could also be relatively light, depending on what we know about these guys. Of course, as always, we're not playing with stats here at the Storm tables, but yeah, we're not fooling around with aces and kings, guys. Raise those up in general. Very good. So 10s do flat here. Well, effectively flat. They go all in here for the mid-stack minimum table buy-in. And fold, 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 and we call the buck. Another thing you got to be careful of when you're multi-tabling, if you think you put this guy all in, right, and there's like a little bit of change left, it's happened to me before, where I didn't see the re-raise, the super small re-raise here, and I ended up accidentally folding the hand because of the time crunch. So heads up, guys, keep on your toes. Definitely don't be multitasking when you're playing at the Storm tables by any means. So good. So we get in at 80% ahead. Beautiful. Now somewhere on 90% because we've also got the nut flush draw to boot. There goes the jack. Look at us. We're at 82 now because he's also picked up the outside straight draw to his hand. So we dropped a little bit in equity. And one of those cards constituting his 18% equity on the turn does hit on the river. And we lose that pot as the market favorite. That's variance. Now here, pre-flop, we're behind the guy. And this is normally a 70-30 split. It's different because the ace is better than our clubby here. And look here, ace-king just open limps, right? We isolate, and he only calls. And then look at the swing. Look at the swing in equity, right? Because he slow played this relatively big hand, right? He just limps and then only called instead of limp re-raising. I mean, if you're going to limp that, guys, at least limp re-raise. You know, in this case, when you're mid-stacked or short-stacked, limp push, right? Versus a bet like that, knowing that these guys are going to be isolating much wider on the button in general. And that's exactly what we were doing with this nonsense ace-jack, or ace-7 offsuit. So we isolate, he flats, and then we flop mid-pair and the nut flush draw, and all of a sudden we go from 26% equity to 92% equity on that flop. Unreal. And again, guys, knowing the power of these pushes, right? I've got to hold this board on the pair, and I've got the nut flush draw. So even if I don't consider my ace good, right? I've got crazy amount of outs here. 9 for the flush, right? Two here for the sevens, and then theoretically another 3 for the ace. Who knows? If he's on jacks, queens, or kings, that would also play. So a lot of equity here with the draw alone, and he bets it, and I shove, of course. And actually, I mean, yeah, that was just again something you guys can definitely avoid. Not trying to knock anybody's play, but I mean, we also made a couple of funky moves, no doubt about it. But you know, that's going to happen, especially when you're multi-tabling. But this kind of stuff, guys, in general, if you do limp it, if you limp your monsters here under the gun, limp raise. Don't just limp call, because that can happen. Very good. There comes the turn, and all of a sudden, I'm at 25%. I go from 92% when I push, when I get all my money across the line. I'm a 92% favorite here. King comes and kills that. All of a sudden I drop to 25%. And that was all she wrote. Variance, guys. Adhere to bankroll management. Ladies versus one overcard is always a 70-30 split, more or less. Very good. Aces min raise, or ace 9 min raises. We 3-bet as a re-steal. He flats. And we flop really well with our overpair here on the rainbow board. A little bit connected, a little bit worried about that. He's only got 4 left, right? Look at the pot to the effective stack ratio. What do? Of course, I shove. Because I don't want to be fooling around with somebody, you know, with jack ace, jack 10 drawn out on the inside straight draw, stuff like that. If he's flopped a set, he's flopped a set, guys, whatever. Better overpair, whatever. I get it in again at 80% ahead. He flats. There comes the ace. All of a sudden he's at 95%. Ciao bella. Alright, guys, so ace king suited versus a king queen. Again, pretty typically a 70-30 split in domination, but we're suited here, so we're 75, 76. Alright, one limper. Over limper with a king queen on the button. That should definitely isolate. You should raise that up to isolate this guy in general. And we do exactly that. This guy's getting pot odds, as you guys see here, of 1.67 to 1. He needs 38% if he's going all in. He's not. He folds. This guy's getting exactly the same odds, and he does call it. This guy then, from almost dead, right? Only one time in 4 will he take down this pot. Comes right back from the dead, flops his trip queens here, and he's got 94% all of a sudden to the river. And what do? I shove, right, because this guy's effective stack size is the same as a pot. If I'm going to do anything, that's where I'm going to do it. And, yeah, we've got overs, backdoor flush draw. Again, somebody having the queen is, I mean, when you have the king-queen and you flop that again, it's about 73 to 1 against. Knowing that's highly unlikely, we go ahead and take a shot here, and given his stack size, we shove. He flats, of course. And that's all. Alright, so that's how that works with the graph. The graphed hands, then you can also come in here and kind of, you know, select certain areas of the graph, and that then shows you a different layout. Then you can go to graphed hands again, check that out, and yeah, that's how you can play with this a bit. It's really, really useful stuff, guys, and it's especially fantastic to have when your stats are functioning in real-time play online. It's actually very important. Alright, guys, and when you go to reports, then I've basically set this up for my own analysis of my cash game hands, and I've expanded the default overall report that Hold'em Manager has. So basically in the 2 hours that we played, more or less, only on 2 tables, guys, we had over 900 hands, right? And that's because of the Storm format there and that beautiful little speed fold button. In the end, we only won 40 bucks. Yeah, 41 almost. And yeah, that's again right at 2 stacks. Our expected value should have been 29, right? So that means we're running as big blinds per 100 hands played at 22 per 100. All right, EV, big blinds per 100, expected value. That means, again, the times when you shove pre-river in heads up pots, then yeah, we should have been running at 16 big blinds per 100 in all positions. Average all-in expected value percentage was 63. Very good. Pre-flop, we're at 65. On the flop, only 42. But when we shoved on the turn, we were at 93% ahead of our opposition on average. Good stuff. Went to showdown 24-1 when we got there right at 55%. Won money at the showdown is this one, and won money without the showdown is a loss. And again, guys, I think we can change that up, improve here by tightening up a bit. Especially earlier position. Yeah, not looking for those cheap flops. Save a little bit of that. Yeah, the blind here, blind there kind of stuff. That definitely adds up in the long run, guys. So yeah, we're losing a bit without the showdown, but winning when we got there, and that at I guess 55% on it. Yeah, more or less. All right. So VPIP, what does that mean? Voluntary put money in the pot. So we're playing 22.5% of all hands. And our pre-flop raise was right at 16%. So we're playing a pretty typical lag tag style in 6-max play. And among good players, you're going to see this, basically this 3-4 or 3-2 split, VPIP to PFR. So when you do have stats on your players and you see that ratio, heads up, they got a decent idea what's going on. We were squeezing pretty low. That should be a bit higher. Only squeezing at, right under 4%. 3-betting a bit higher at right at 4. 3-bet success rate was at 33. And then I've got a whole string of other hands here. Down here you can also just kind of, these are the biggest pots that we played. So we just played one level, so the monetary is more or less the same. You can do the big blind search or sword or the money sword, it doesn't matter. But yeah, those are the biggest pots we played here on those 900 plus hands. And again, back to the remaining stats here. From the 3-bet, we're 4-betting here versus a 3-bet. We didn't raise, we actually didn't 4-bet here. We did 5-bet quite a bit. We flopped our set at 11%, guys. So that's exactly what's expected approaching infinity, just under 11% for sets. That means whenever you have a pair and you're looking for that third rank on the flop, happen 11% of the time. That's more or less exactly mathematically where it needs to be. And yeah, sometimes we got action on that. Other times we didn't. Aggression, guys, as you see here, I'm at 6.8 aggression factor. It's too high. It is too high. Got to reduce that. And we definitely threw back a little money on a couple of longer ball bluffs there that we could have opted out of for sure. We'll look to reduce that in future videos. It's a bit against my nature, I'll have to admit, but yeah, I think that's definitely too high, especially at this level. Making aggressive moves at 50% anytime we do make a move, it's pretty intense. Alright, so we flop C-betted at 80%, C-bet success at 35, so that's not good at all. We need to reduce the C-bet, maybe opt for delayed C-bets a bit more, stuff like that. Decrease this number and try and increase this if we can, but again, when you're playing statistically blind, it's difficult to know. Like, for example, if you have your HUD stats up, you'll know when they're, how often your opponents are folding, with pretty great certainty. And that's difficult to manipulate or actually to understand when you don't see those stats in real-time play. So, moving right along, river call efficiency at 2.5, that's not bad. Overall steal success was at 53%, that is good. Steal percentage right at 34. And the rest of these stats are pretty much basically blind and steal scenarios. I'm going to start here. Overall steal success was again 53%. Steal from the cutoff at 31. 42% success rate. That means basically you open raise from late position and then everybody behind you folds down. 3-bet success you see here. Stealing from the button a little bit higher, as you should. That's at 37%. If people could actually see your numbers, that's too high. That's definitely exploitable. But yeah, it worked out for us 50% of the time. And we were stealing from the small blind really high at 76%. Actually, forgive me, the success rate was at 76%, and we were stealing at 37. All right. Re-steals, so that means basically 3-betting from the small versus late position raisers. And this is a 3-bet success rate that could also be from early position open raisers, stuff like that. But yeah, we were basically 3-betting and having the guys fold down to us, to our 3-bets at 40%. And from the big blind, we didn't 3-bet in that session. And that's, guys, that's how I have this broken down for my overall report, just to kind of see how I'm running after the fact. And there's a lot of other stuff you can go and let's do stakes. For example, nope, that's not right. Let's do position. This is the one I was telling you about earlier. And here you can see, where you're making money, where you're losing money, what's going on. And what do we got? Let's just sort it by winnings. So we made the most money in the cutoff, and when you click on that, then you get all your hands underneath. And then again, you can sort it by cash, by big blinds, by expected value difference, etc. Right? And that's how that works. So again, yeah, we made the most money here at 79, almost 80 big blinds per 100 in the cutoff. That's very good. Ironically, or actually unexpectedly, we're running second best in the small blind at 50 big blinds per 100. And yeah, you see the respective VPIP, PFR from the different positions, 3-betting, squeezing, 4-bet ranges, etc. And yeah, where were our biggest losses? In the big blind, guys. That's going to be everybody's problem child, and in early position. So again, the wider open raises we need to reduce, probably cut out on open limp, stuff like that. Be a bit more careful in the big blind with our re-steals. That seemed to be the biggest issue, I think, in that session. And other than that, I mean, it was a really good run. All in all, we're running at 22 big blinds per 100. Not a bad return for, yeah, pretty much anybody's standard, given big stack play. So that was all we had for this 2-table Storm cash game session. And yeah, we had it called Getting into the Lineup, basically learning the ropes, getting your bearings, playing 2 tables simultaneously. And in the coming video, then we're going to run at least 1, maybe 2 tournaments, and then run simultaneous Storm cash tables so that you can maximize the total hands that you're playing while you're quote-unquote waiting for your wave or waiting for your decent hands in tournament play. After that, then we'll be dropping in at least 4 cash game tables at the same time, and pretty much applying everything that we've been showing you guys here in the first 2 theoretical videos and now here in this active real-time play. Again, guys, it's Dylan from mybet.com. If you have any questions or comments, as always, please feel free to contact us at any time. And until we see you again here for the 4th video in the Riders of the Storm series, wish you all the best, and definitely best of luck at your next Storm table.